Interest. Make sure interests are working for you, not against you. Right. And this one's just briefly, if this was a credit card and you had $5,000, if you watch the credit presentation, I'll go into more detail for it. But just if you had $5,000 worth of balance and your APR on a credit card was 24%, and you make only the minimum payment at $150, it'll take you over 20 years to pay back that debt because of interest. And you end up paying over $14,000 worth of money. That's a long time. That's a lot of money. You don't want interest working against you like that. Now, unfortunately, you're not going to find too many investments that give you 24% in growth, as opposed to take 24% in debt. But if you can just not have that debt, that's 24% interest that you're saving. If you could just turn that 24% into a standard savings account as opposed to a negative, that's you're making big progress just by not carrying debt. It's not as exciting as going and buying crypto or buying stocks or buying mutual funds or 401ks or anything like that, but not carrying debt is going to be huge towards building your wealth in the long term. So when it comes to interest, you want it working in your favor. You guys ever heard of the rule of 72? It's a big one in investing. Basically, it gives you a simple formula that will give you a pretty close estimate on how long it will take for you to double your money, double your investing. So the years to double your investing will be 72 divided by whatever your interest rate is. So let's say you invest in strictly CD accounts, which are certificate of deposit. Basically, you go to a bank, you go to a credit union, you deposit your money for a fixed amount of time, and say 6 months, a year, whatever the case may be, and they promise to give you a certain APR, which is higher than what you would get from a savings account, because in a savings account, you're really not getting much. With a CD, you promise to leave the money there longer. They promise to give you more in your in the form of returns, which is cool, as long as you don't mind locking up your money. I wouldn't put your emergency savings account in a CD, because then you can't get to it in the event of an emergency when you need the money. But if you have an extra amount of money sitting around that you don't need, and pretty confident you're not going to need it anytime soon, that could be, and you don't want to risk it. My wife's a big fan of these because she doesn't like the idea of risk, which we will touch on in a little. Certificate of deposit is what a CD stands for. You can get them at pretty much any bank, credit union. I think some of the local credit unions, they usually run little promotions. So from time to time, one might have a better deal than the other. So check out, one of the many. That's the cool thing about San Diego. We have a lot of credit unions. You have some of the big national ones here, and then you also have some local ones that are San Diego specific. So check those out if you already don't have an account with a credit union, and find out if you're going to open a CD, find out which credit union has the best rates right now, and then go to that one. Get yourself the best deal possible. So, for example, you get 5% rate of return. You would need to put your money in for 14.4 years for you to double your money. So it's a long time, but that's 14 years faster than if you don't invest your money and you just keep it in a regular savings account, or you keep it under your mattress, or something like that. So again, it's just kind of rough estimate, but it's pretty accurate. I mean, it's accurate enough where you can just kind of look at it and be like, okay, if I invest my money in the stock market and I get 7%, now my money doubles in 10 years. That's pretty sweet. You guys are really young. 10 years, you'll still be really young. Someone said on ESPN, Tom Brady retired, and I'm like, what were you doing 22 years ago when he started in the NFL? And a bunch of people were putting wasn't born. And I was thinking, man, I was already in high school. So some of you, much, much younger, the earlier you start, the more time you give your money to double. And that's why you want to get started now, even if it's with a small amount, because the earlier you start, the better it will be for you in the long term. Kind of to illustrate that, Here's an example of someone saving, gosh, I forgot what the exact amount. Oh, here you go. Cumulative wealth from saving $100 a month at a 5% return with an annual compound rate of 5%. So they're going to put in $100 every month, and they're going to get 5% annual compound interest rate. So that's how much they're going to get in return, 5%. And then they're just reinvesting the money that they've earned and adding more to it every month. If you do that, same investment, but one started at 25 versus one started at 35, the person who started at 25 at the age of retirement, give or take, at 65 years, they're going to have just over $160,000 just by putting away that $100 every month, compared to the person who is starting a little later, and they're going to be less than $100,000. So obviously they contributed for 10 extra years, but it also gave their money time to grow more. So I can't stress it enough. You want to get to investing, get to it as soon as possible. If you don't do it today, if you don't do it while you're in college, do it like ASAP when you get that first job. But I'll tell you how to buy stocks, and you can do all that fun stuff even now. So bear with me. So start as soon as possible. You don't need a lot to start. That's the difference between you guys now and maybe when I was in college. You didn't have apps that you can go onto and purchase. I could buy a stock right now if I wanted to. Well, not right now because the market's closed for the day. But I could put an order for first thing tomorrow morning. I can for free. It won't cost me any money. I have to invest whatever money I have to have the money I'm investing. So this person's investing $30. They're going to invest $30 a month. They're going to get back 8%. And there you go. They're going to make, with 40 years to grow, they're going to make over $100,000. This is for investing in a stock. Unless you can find a CD that over and over and over that's going to give you 8%, but it's unlikely that you'll find a CD with that kind of rate of return. Maybe last year you could have found one at that, but so this would be investing in something that's giving you back 8%. So this would have to be something probably in the stock market. You might occasionally find a CD at 8% if they have like a super promotion going at a credit union. I've seen it, but I've only seen it once or twice. So you probably couldn't do it over and over and over. So let's say you were going to buy, when I was in college, you were going to buy a Disney stock. Disney stock right now is about $144. I would have to have $144 at least, plus $9.99 for the trade. So now it's costing me money. If I had $30, I couldn't get a Disney stock, and I barely cover. I could buy a $20 stock of something and then pay the $10 fee, but that didn't seem that appealing. Now there's apps you can download, some ways you can buy stock, some of the apps. You got like Robinhood, Acorn, TD Ameritrade, some of the bigger, Charles Schwab, I believe, has a free stock option. Some of them will let you buy partial stocks. So like a Robinhood and Acorns, you want to buy $20 worth of Disney, even though Disney's at $144, you can go buy $20 worth of Disney. Something like a TD Ameritrade, they're not going to charge you, but you'll have to buy full stocks. Are there any penalties for selling stocks? There's no fees from these individual brokerage accounts like the Robinhoods, the TD Ameritrades. They're not going to charge you a fee. The penalties for selling stock potentially could come in the form of tax implications. So let's say I buy, 2020, or let's say in the last year, I purchased a stock and I bought it for $90. And then like 2 months ago, I bought a stock for $90. The price went up. I sell it for $100. I made a $10 profit. That $10 goes in as I have to claim on my taxes next time I do taxes, not this current cycle, but at the end of this year. as income. So I will be taxed on that, money that I made. If I bought the stock more than a year ago, and I get taxed at whatever tax bracket I'm in. If I have held that stock for more than a year, then it gets taxed as capital gains. I believe it's 15% of the profit is taxable. So there could be penalties for buying and selling stocks in the form of tax implications. So you do want to make sure that you're aware that, especially if you make a big profit, that profit margin, that difference, that delta is something where you could be taxed on it. It's not necessarily, it's not going to be like it depends on what tax bracket you're in, depends on a lot of other things that go along with taxes. But you can face, is there a tax even if you lose on your stock? So here's the thing. Then it goes as a loss. So let's say you bought Peloton. And I hate to pick on them when they're kicking when they're down though. Their stock has dropped a huge amount. I like to track them just because it's like, wow, you really messed that up. I didn't buy any, thankfully. But in the last 3 months, Peloton has lost 70%, just under 70% of its value. So if you bought one for $100, it's now worth $28. It's actually worth $28 right now. So if you bought one for 100 and now you're like, forget it, this thing's a sinking ship, I'm out, I'll sell it for 30, you've lost $70. That can actually go in as a tax break because you got beat up by the stock market there. Not something you want to try and get in the habit of doing. Ideally, you want to buy things for long term. You don't want to buy things to try and make a quick dollar. You want to buy things that you're going to hold for a long term. But if you do get beat up on a stock and you lose money, there could be tax breaks. Just don't get in the habit of losing money in the stock market. That's the opposite. You do get taxed more if you held that investment for less than a year. A year's the cutoff mark. And how much more depends on whatever tax bracket you happen to be in. But you do, after a year, you get put into a different, it's taxed differently. The goal with investing, you should not be trying to invest to try and make a quick buck. You should not be trying to invest your savings for a trip after college in the next couple of years. Investing should be a long-term commitment. You don't want to be investing to try and make money quick. That could be a recipe for trouble. You don't want to be trying to invest. That's why you don't put your emergency fund into the stock market, into investing, because what if you need it and the market's down? Now you're in trouble, right? It's something where, and some people like to look at the market over and over and over. Some people set it and forget it, which is how mostly I operate. But if you're going to stress about it, then maybe you just don't check it. There's some days you get beat up and you lose a lot of money, but you don't actually lose the money unless you sell. If you just hold it and the market it recovers, then you didn't lose any. If you know someone who had, or maybe you had investments early 2020, pre-COVID, that week, 2 weeks in March, they were brutal. If you were losing tons of money on your value of your investments just dipped. But you didn't lose any money unless you panic and you sold it, because it has since recovered and exceeded where it was previously. So it's a long-term commitment. But even small contributions over a large period of time can be a huge amount of money, a significant amount of money. Over $100,000 is nothing to, complain about when you're only contributing $30 a month. It's just 40 years down the road, if that makes sense. And a lot of times with this, with investing, once you start seeing your money grow, once you start learning that you're making money, it becomes kind of addicting, and it's something you do, something you want to do. Something I wish I would have learned. Exactly. I lost a ton of money. I just stopped looking at it. Oh, absolutely. If you have extra money, and unfortunately, you know, when you look at overall who has benefit, I don't know if I'll use the word benefit, who has gained most wealth during the pandemic, it was the people who were already very rich. And part of that had to be with they're probably already doing stocks. And they looked at the market, saw that it was way down and said, oh, I got an extra $100,000 sitting around. Let me just go buy this or that or this. And I was looking at it saying, man, I still have to make sure I pay my rent. And at the time I was renting, and I don't know where this is all going. I can't be throwing money at the stock market. What if I need it? If someone who is super rich had like, oh, I got $100,000, no problem. I'll just buy this stock. When it went back up, they were able to make money. I was looking at it saying, it's a good deal, but at the end of the day, I don't know where this is going. I can't throw big chunks of money at the stock market because, I got kids. I got stuff I got to do. I can't just throw lumps of money at it. But people who had the extra money made extra money because they're like, oh yeah, I have $100,000. Let me just buy the stock over here while it's on sale. That's how I like to say when it's on sale. But you get it, it's kind of addicting. Between my brother and I, my 3-year-old, I have a nephew who's also 3, but my 3-year-old's the one who really picked up on it. He loves the stock market. I don't think he has a clue what it is really, but he knows green is good, red is bad. Red means the money's going bye-bye. Green means the money's coming back. My brother showed him, and then I showed him, and now he's like, every day he's like, hey, let me see your thing. Do we have green or do we have red? And I don't want to check my investments every day. So I downloaded for him. This is his iPad. I brought it with me. As you can see by the case, that it's not my iPad. I wouldn't put a case on it like that, but he loves this thing. And I'm trying to get him into the habit. I never knew about finances. So for him, he's got, you probably can't see it, but he's got the Yahoo investing app. And the reason I downloaded that one is because you can't actually purchase stock on there. So he can't mess any of my finances up. But he checks the thing every day. Again, he can't read. He doesn't know what he's doing yet. But he sees green is good, red is bad. So he'll go and we pick some stocks that it tracks for him. And he goes, oh, money's coming back today. Or, oh, money, bye-bye money, every day. So it's kind of cool. Just red is good if you're a bear. Yes, if you're ready to buy, red could be a good thing. They're on sale. Or if you're trying to, getting more elaborate, if you're trying to short the market, or you're trying to buy options and that kind of stuff. So red could be good. But for all intents and purposes, red is not good.